Speeches are supposed to be really short, so I'm not going to take too much time. I'm not going to be anywhere near as funny as Bernie. First of all, Miriam and I would like to thank Walter, Bernie, Julie, the entire Banquet Committee, everyone who came from near and far, and everyone who worked so hard to make this such a wonderful evening. We'd also like to thank my father-in-law for his kind and heartfelt words, and for Josh as well. I don't think I've heard Josh speak since his bar mitzvah. It was a pleasure to hear that again. I was thumbing through the ad journal, which I think has some of the same letters that Shmuel gave us earlier. And I enjoyed reading all these nice letters from all these politicians that I never voted for. I wanted to take a few moments to reminisce about some of my feelings for this community over the past 38 and a half years that I've lived here, and over 26 of which have been with Miriam. I moved here shortly before my 12th birthday, having lived in Norfolk, Newport, Monterey, Norfolk again, Annapolis, and Providence. I knew right away that I liked this community and would enjoy settling here. Fortunately for me, years later, Miriam agreed. At that time, believe it or not, the only people we were related to in the shoal were Yonatan and Devorah Adler, who are distant cousins. Our first Friday night meal was at the Schick's, our first Shabbos lunch was at the Landismans, and the first phone number that I learned when we moved here was not my own, but 585-1720, which is the Landismans. Living in the same community where I grew up has allowed me to see the community from different perspectives throughout the years. It also creates for some interesting dynamics, such as having babysat for someone who's now your sister-in-law.
We can talk about that later.
Having your children being taught by your teachers, and in some cases their children, and having to address as rabbi children who were at one time too young to even be in your Shabbos group. At the other end of the spectrum, it's a little strange when you're invited to be on the shul board because they need someone older on the board. Especially when the invitation comes from your father. On a more somber note, when we moved here, there were only 3 rows on one Yorkshire plaque. Over the years, I met most of the people whose names now cover the 3 plaques that are in the shoal, and I can tell you that they were all a very special part of this community. Being an active member of one's community has always been a part of both of our families. It was taken for granted that participating in your community was something that everyone did. I remember both my grandfathers being very involved in their shoals and communities. Some of my earliest memories are of my father always attending a board meeting for the shoal of the school. And I'm sure Miriam will agree that being the rabbi of the shoal or spending your life raising money for Torah and Klal Yisrael is the ultimate level of community service. The importance of community service that we learn in our homes at a young age is one that we continue to build upon throughout our lives. It is with great pride that Miriam and I can say that all of our children are continuing this tradition, each in their own ways. And yes, Mayor has publicly stated that he aspires one day to be president of the shoal. Though it may sound funny, it reflects the values that we have all taught our children. While my involvement in this community has usually been a little more visible, Miriam has shown me that one's actions do not have to be public in order to make a difference in people's lives. I guess that's why I make such a good team. I could elaborate, but that will kind of defeat the point. Suffice it to say that Miriam has a special place in all of our hearts. Finally, I want to say, it's about time. It's about time spent by people who attend Minyan every day, which is the most important function of a shul. It's about time spent by people who give shiurim, attend shiurim, or just learn the shul to reflect the shul's makom kadosh, a holy place. It's about time spent setting up for kiddush or shudash lishit, time spent cleaning up, making repairs, mowing the lawn, shoveling, organizing programs, ordering food and paper goods, and paying the bills. It's about time, hours and hours of time spent in meetings, month after month, year after year, for the sole purpose of helping us make this a better community. And it's about time spent quietly, out of the limelight, cooking meals, helping those in need, opening your homes, your hearts, or sometimes just an ear, so another person will feel better. I'm one of the first second-generation members who grew up in the shul, and we are proud to be the parents of the first third-generation member who grew up in the shul. All of this because of the special importance this community has in our lives. It says in Parshas Truma that we read this coming week, but Yikuli Truma, and you, in the plural, should take from me Truma in order to fund the building of the Mishkan. Building a community cannot be done in the singular, as individuals. A community can only be built through the work of couples, families throughout the generations, and the entire community. To quote one of my chavrusas, who, believe it or not, I'm now related to by marriage, it takes a community. While he may have been referring to raising our children, it also applies to an institution like our shul. Indeed, it is through the involvement of all the members that we become a community and make this a place where everyone is a member of your family. Thank you again.
On the schedule, but I did want to say a few words. Many times in life, I've talked to people, they've had problems, and they always say to me, Miriam, keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. So I just want to tell you that when I was in high school, I had to pick a yearbook quote, and I had about 3 seconds, so forgive me if I don't remember who said it. But my quote was, a man's reach must exceed his grasp for what's ahead and forward. And I have to tell you that when I met Larry, I found someone who could keep me grounded and still allow me to soar. And our parents have done that for both of us, and we live near our parents, so if anybody thinks that our success is not straight from our parents, they have to guess again. Our children have been wonderful to raise, and they have exceeded our expectations, and not because we limited you, but because you actually gave us some credit for this, and we think you're all terrific, and we're really proud of you. Jeremy following in my footsteps, doing something in the medical field. Veet is doing fashion design, so it's someone else's jeans, but it's still a fashionista, and your boys in finance, and that was something else I thought about, the fact that, they tell you if you buy low, you'll make more money later on, and when we came, something like that, right. When we came to Woodside, we invested in this community where we were one of the youngest people. I mean, we weren't the founders, but we came in and we said, okay, this is where we really want to be. Everyone was moving away, and we stuck it out, and I think that the value that we've got has definitely exceeded our expectations. So we have a tremendous Hakaras Hatov for everybody here, thanking you for honoring us, but allowing us to thank all of you for being part of our lives and making this life as wonderful as it's been. Thank you.
Please join us in the other room for dessert, followed by Birkat Hamazon, followed afterwards by Mara Pierce.